He's breaking, and he doesn't live there. That's the first thing I heard before sunrise, before coffee, standing on my own porch with a sack of new locks swinging from my hand. Across the street there she was, Karen Whitmore, queen of the HOA, screaming into her phone like she'd just caught a fugitive on national TV, finger jabbing the air in my direction. Only thing is, the criminal was me, the homeowner. No kidding, my name was literally on the mortgage. Honestly, it took everything in me not to burst out laughing. The reason I was out there changing locks in the first place. Because Karen herself had broken into my house just last week under the holy banner of an HOA inspection. But let's be real. The only thing being inspected was her grip on reality. And the best part, as the first police cruisers turned the corner, she marched up like she was about to get knighted, only to freeze when those cops took one look at me and saluted. You should have seen her face. I think she actually forgot how to breathe for a second. But let me rewind a little, show you how this HOA meltdown got started. If you've never lived in an HOA neighborhood, just picture the Stepford suburbs on steroids. Lawns trimmed so even you'd think the grass was laser-cut, mailboxes lined up like soldiers, every driveway cleaner than a hospital floor. And then picture one person, just one, who truly believes it's their calling in life to enforce all of that. That's Karen. Clipboard, sunglasses, pearls, the whole package. President of Maplewood Estates Homeowners Association, and proud of it. When I moved in about 3 months back, she was the first to greet me. Clipboard in hand, eyes scanning my moving truck as if she was about to write me a ticket. Welcome to Maplewood Estates, Mr. She squinted at my last name. Carter, I told her. James Carter. I could see her mouth twitch. Ah, yes. I'll get you added to the registry. You'll get a welcome packet soon. That welcome packet showed up the next morning. 50 pages of rules, lawn color, mailbox finish, curtain, opacity, you name it. Heck, there was even a section on how long your car could be in the driveway before the place turned into an eyesore. Reading it, you'd think the IRS was running the show. At first, I figured it was just overzealous suburban micromanagement. But it didn't take long to realize Karen wasn't just enforcing rules, she was weaponizing them. First violation showed up on day 4. Your trash bins were visible from the street for more than 6 minutes after pickup. 6 minutes. I checked the security cam, and sure enough, she was right. Which is more disturbing, that I'd left them out or that she was out there stopwatch in hand timing me. Next up, a complaint that my porch light was too warm for the HOA approved aesthetic. Then another about my American flag being disproportionately large compared to adjacent residences. Each letter signed in bold, Karen Whitmore, HOA President, like she thought she was signing the Declaration of Independence. But I'll let you in on a little secret. After 20 years working as a U.S. Marshal managing tactical ops tracking fugitives, the whole 9 yards, a nosy neighbor with a clipboard wasn't exactly going to keep me up at night. Karen didn't know any of that. To her, I was just another quiet guy with a truck, an easy target, which is probably why her obsession grew fast. I'd catch her peeking through her curtains every time I left for work. One day I even spotted her crouched by my mailbox phone out snapping pictures like she was gathering evidence for a case. When I walked up behind her, she nearly jumped out of her skin and pretended to check the flowers. Then came the weekend, everything shifted. I flew out to D.C. for a security seminar, gone 3 days tops. I walk in the door and immediately something feels off. Back door's ajar. House smells faintly of lavender. Karen's perfume, I'd learn later. Dining chairs shifted and muddy footprints near my desk. I froze. My old instincts flared up. Nothing was missing, but the drawers had been rummaged, papers shifted around. Expensive electronics untouched, but the little things disturbed. So I checked my security cameras. 2:13 p.m. Thursday. There's Karen HOA blazer and all strutting through my gate, followed by a maintenance guy carrying a clipboard. She doesn't knock, doesn't call, just lets herself in. They wander through my kitchen, open my fridge, check my thermostat. Then she starts rifling through my mail, snapping photos of my property docs. I sat there replaying that footage, jaw-clenched, pulse in my ears. She had literally broken into my house under the pretense of inspection. Did I confront her that night? Nope. That's not how you handle people drunk on power. You don't shout, you document. I labeled the footage, sent it to my lawyer. Next morning, while I sipped my coffee on the porch, she walked her Pomeranian Duchess, smiling and waving like nothing ever happened. The audacity was almost impressive. That's when I decided it was time new locks. I called up Roy, an old locksmith friend from the federal days. Quiet, good hands, no questions asked. When Roy's truck pulled up, Karen's HOA radar must have gone off. She was across my lawn in 2 seconds flat, lavender blazer, flapping clipboard waving like a white flag in reverse. Excuse me. This property modification wasn't approved by the HOA. Roy just blinked. I said, "Keep working." She wasn't done. "You can't just replace locks. There are standards." I looked her dead in the eye. "You want me to get your permission to secure my own home?" She sputtered. "We have procedures, Mr. Carter." I raised an eyebrow. "Like the procedure when you brought your contractor and broke into my house?" She flinched. She doubled down, of course. "You're making a mistake. The HOA can fine you for non-compliance." I just smiled, added it to my growing file, and let her storm off. That's when she started dialing angrily, loudly on her porch. I heard every word. "Yes, officer, there's a man breaking into a house. I think it's stolen property. He's aggressive." Roy shot me a look. "Should I stop?" I grinned. "Nope. Finish the job. Trust me, it'll be worth it." By the time the sirens rolled up, Karen was in full performance mode at the end of my driveway, arms crossed, ready to savor her gotcha moment. Me. I just leaned on the porch rail, sipping my coffee, feeling like I'd wandered into an episode of Cops HOA edition. The police pulled up. Karen ran toward them, waving her clipboard like a surrender flag. "That's him. That's the man. He's breaking in." The officer's mid-30s. Cool, collected, looked from her to me. Roy whispered, "You good?" I nodded. "Oh, I'm great." The officers approached. "Sir, we got a call about a possible break-in. Can we see some ID?" I smiled, reached into my jacket, but before I handed it over, I said, "You might want to hear something first." Karen tried to cut in, but they motioned for her to wait. I opened my wallet, flashed a badge, my old deputy director credentials. The sunlight caught the silver just right. The officer's eyes widened. "Deputy Director Carter," one of them asked. "Retired now," I said, "but I still know protocol." Instantly, both snapped to attention, saluted. Karen's jaw dropped so hard I worried it'd shatter her pearls. The younger cop lowered his voice. "Sorry for the confusion, sir." I waved him off. "You're just doing your job. But maybe Mrs. Whitmore here can explain why she's calling in fake burglary reports on homeowners." Karen stammered. "I was protecting the neighborhood." The officer cocked an eyebrow. "By making false reports, I took a long sip of coffee. She's also got a talent for inspections. Didn't you walk into my house last week without consent?" "Karen?" Her head whipped toward me, eyes wild. "What are you talking about?" I tapped my phone, brought up the security footage. The officers watched Karen and her sidekick marching into my home like it was open house Sunday. The older cop just shook his head. "Ma'am, I think that's you in the lavender blazer and pearls." By now, a small crowd of neighbors had gathered, whispering, a few even filming. One neighbor snorted, "That's her favorite blazer." Karen's face went sheet white. She stammered, "This is harassment. He can't." The officer cut her off. "Ma'am, making false emergency calls is a criminal offense. You need to calm down." She wilted. "I didn't know." "He looked suspicious." I looked down at my coffee mug, world's most patient man. The irony wasn't lost on me. The police took my statement, told Karen she was lucky I wasn't pressing charges, and left. A few neighbors drifted over, some clapping softly, others muttering, "About time." Even Roy the locksmith shook his head. "Didn't know you were a big shot." I shrugged. "Retired big shot. Don't like pulling rank, but I don't like being called a burglar in my own home either." Karen wasn't done. Not by a mile. Within an hour, a letter landed in my mailbox. Notice of community non-compliance, unauthorized security alteration. I nearly spilled my coffee from laughing. She was threatening me with $500 fines for changing my locks after breaking in herself. Sun was setting, cicadas buzzing, and I sat on my porch looking at that letter thinking, all right, Karen, you want a war? You got one. The next morning, news of the HOA police showdown had already hit the neighborhood chat. Some genius had edited the footage, slowed it down, added dramatic music, made Karen look like a villain from a soap opera. By midday, it was all anyone could talk about. I figured she'd lay low for a bit, but nope. At exactly 10:04 a.m., a hand-delivered summons arrived. You are hereby summoned before the HOA committee to address violations, including unauthorized modifications and disrespectful conduct toward an HOA official. I about fell off my chair laughing at use of law enforcement to intimidate the community. That afternoon, I overheard Karen on the phone outside. He made me look like a fool. Now he's rallying the neighborhood against me. The HOA has to act fast. I nearly walked over to congratulate her. She was doing a great job rallying the neighborhood against herself. By the time the HOA hearing rolled around, word had gotten out. People packed the clubhouse curious as raccoons at a backyard cookout. Karen came dressed for court purple blazer pearls, a stack of papers thick enough to stop a bullet. "Mr. Carter," she began, "you stand accused of unauthorized changes and public defamation of an HOA officer." I crossed my arms. By changing my locks, she glared. "You know what you did? You embarrassed this community by involving the police in a private matter." Murmurs swept the room. Walter, a gray-haired board member, spoke up. "Mrs. Whitmore, the police were called by you." She bristled. "I was misled by Mr. Carter's behavior. I just sipped my coffee. Standing on my porch, changing locks, drinking coffee. Yeah, real suspicious." Then came the knockout. I opened my folder, photos, footage, the whole saga. Here's you in my house without consent. Here's you photographing my mail. Here's you calling the police on me for fixing what you broke. The board fell silent. Walter spoke up. "Mrs. Whitmore, I think we need to review your conduct. Maybe it's time for a leadership change." Karen's face went stiff as old bread, but the board voted suspended pending investigation. She stormed out Duchess, barking like a tiny furious echo, and the room burst into applause. Some cheered, others just looked relieved. Me. I felt something softer than victory, just relief. All I'd ever wanted was peace. And that right there was the moment I realized sometimes the best justice isn't revenge. It's just standing your ground quiet and calm until the bullies trip over their own egos. Now you'd think that'd be the end of it, right? Huh? Not in Maplewood. Karen tried every trick, letters, fake violations, even a lawsuit for emotional distress. But the board had seen enough. The county sheriff's office served her with a cease and desist. The HOA quietly removed her from the rolls, replaced her with Alice, a kind soul more interested in flowers than fear. When Karen finally moved out, her house dark and silent, it felt like spring after a long winter. Neighbors started planting wildflowers, leaving porch lights on late. People waved, laughed. Maplewood Estates became a neighborhood again, not a kingdom. A few weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, just a single line. "I know you think I'm the villain, but I never meant for it to go this far. Somewhere along the way, I forgot the difference between caring and controlling. Don't bother responding. I doubt I'll ever come back." No apology, but you know what? There was something like regret between those lines. I folded it, put it in a drawer, and felt not angry, just sorry for her. I guess that's the lesson I learned looking back. Power doesn't reveal a person's character, it just turns up the volume. You take it away, and sometimes all that's left is noise. For folks like Karen, control is oxygen. When it's gone, they suffocate themselves. If you're ever up against someone like that, here's what I'd say. You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room. You just have to be the calmest. Set your boundaries. Stand your ground. Let the truth-patient, steady, unyielding do its work. And when the dust settles, sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't payback, it's peace. So, here's what I want to know. Have you ever tangled with a Karen or an HOA dictator? How'd you keep your sanity, or did you lose it entirely? Drop your stories in the comments. Around here, justice always finds its way. And if you ever need advice on handling suburban drama, well, pull up a chair. The grill's hot and the coffee's fresh.